Yes, indeed. What's happening, world? B Marsh Boxing back at it with another boxing video. So, Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3 has been confirmed and negotiations finalized. So, only thing remaining is the date. That's the only thing that they haven't finalized and confirmed. And as of right now, um, during these trying times, during this pandemic, that'll be the hardest thing to figure out. When will this fight take place? Both parties have agreed. Negotiations have been finalized. Both guys want the rematch. Both guys received their highest and biggest paydays fighting each other, so no reason why they shouldn't want to go into the rematch for the trilogy, you know what I mean? And if I'm not mistaken, according to the negotiations for the rematch clause for the second fight, the winner gets a higher purse, you know what I mean? And it's only right. Tyson Fury should get the higher purse. He's the champion. And that's just how it should go, you know what I'm saying? So, Deontay Wilder, there's been talks about him supposedly or should accept some step aside money. Well, he could put all the rumors to rest. That is not happening. Those rumors been spearheaded by Eddie Hearn, of course, Anthony Joshua and them, cloud chasing, talking about they want to fight Fury next. They acted like they're the ones who had, look, it might be a wish, but you had no control over that. Because the man of the hour in all of this, um, in all these negotiations and what's going to happen next is a guy like Kubra Pulev, you know what I mean? There were numerous attempts for Anthony Joshua to avoid his mandatory Kubra Pulev, you know what I mean? Even though even though Eddie Hearn and Joshua knew damn well that's who you're gonna face next. That's your IBF mandatory, a guy who's been the mandatory since about what 2017. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Hearn had been making statements in public talking about he's trying to have the fight a big British super fight. That's not happening, man. Unless Eddie Hearn hasn't been reading the news, Tyson Fury doesn't have a British boxing license. You know what I mean? And the truth of the matter is, Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua were never in the running at any stage. They would get a Tyson Fury fight. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, you got to get past Bob Arum, man. You think Bob Arum is going to sacrifice his heavyweight, who's in, who's due a mandatory shot, who's going to get their biggest payday of their career, and of course, Bob Arum is in the business of making money. He's going to turn that down for what? So the guy could get some measly step aside money. Bob Arum is trying to put his fighters in a situation where he could have two heavyweight champions in the world, one from England, one from Bulgaria. If the man I'm sorry, Kubra Pulev can beat Anthony Joshua, you know what I mean? You check it, but Frank Warren, man, he made it quite clear about what's going to happen next, and he's been said it. Also, Todd DeBuff, he said the likelihood of Joshua and Todd DeBuff is like a president over there at Top Rank, talking about the likelihood of Joshua and Fury fight happening next is highly unlikely. You know, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are obligated to a rematch clause. So that's what's going to happen next. So in a interview with BT Sports, Frank Warren basically put to rest and busted the myths of anybody besides Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fighting for that WBC title next. I'm gonna read some quotes from the man Frank Warren. He said, "Quote: There's a contract, and both parties are contracted to that fight. Taking, there's a contract, and both parties are contracted to that fight taking place. I hoped the rematch would happen in July. I expected Tyson to win that and then fight AJ in November or December. They've been talking about October, but no one knows what the date is going to be. Every country has a different situation. They've laid staff off in Las Vegas and the hotels. Vegas is completely shut down. The hotels are shut down. Casinos are shut down. It's a complete lockdown. They've laid staff off, so they've got to get up and running first, and that isn't going to happen in a couple of weeks. When it gets to the stage that people can mix again or go back to work, it's going to take time. Then you've got to look at the impact on disposable incomes. Will people want to travel? Do they have money to fly? In an ideal world, we'd love to get it on that date, if not before that, but that's not set in stone. The negotiations are done. They were done before the last fight. It's just getting the date, announcing it, and getting the fight on. At the moment, we're in no man's land. End quote. Simple, plain and simple. That's your that's the Frank Warren, Queensberry Promotions, and Tyson Fury's promoter. With of course Eddie. I'm sorry, Bob Arum is a co-promoter, and he dispelled all the rumors and the myths about fight happening between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Now I'd love to see that fighting. Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, fun disputed, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not in a rush to see it next. Why? Because I want to see this trilogy. I want to see the third fight. You know, guys are contracted, obligated by contract to fulfill they contract. You know what I'm saying? You know, Deontay Wilder has been quiet ever since he made that video saying, "Your king is back," stuff like that. I can't quite remember. That's what I do remember the most. You know what I mean? And in that case, look, like I said before, like my man Floyd Mayweather says, like I said before, look, when Anthony Joshua had a rematch clause to fight Andy Ruiz, me as a boxing fan who isn't in this watching boxing and have an agenda and don't want certain people to get the opportunity. And I'm not like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Look, I told y'all before, I said it before, I'll say it again. My channel ain't a hate channel, you know what I mean? If any fighter in boxing is doing what they're supposed to do, all props to them, you know what I mean? Regardless where they from on the planet Earth, you know what I'm saying? Regardless what weight class, regardless whom they promoter is and what network they fight on. Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua, I wanted to see that next. What's the point of Anthony Joshua having all three of them titles, getting battered in the first fight, and then him just falling back? Who else was there to fight? What's the point of taking steps backwards? You know what I'm saying? Regardless if you got a thorough beating like Anthony Joshua did, regardless if you get a thorough beating like the man Deontay Wilder did. Look, a third fight, more than likely, it's a trilogy, man. I've seen trilogies, you know what I'm saying? Chiquita Gonzalez and Michael Carbajal. Usually the second and the third fight are never like the first fight. You know what I'm saying? I've seen Manny Pacquiao and Tim Bradley. You know what I'm saying? I thought Manny Pacquiao won the first fight. He obviously won the second and the third. Look at the third fight, man. The third fight wasn't competitive like the second and the first. You know what I'm saying? The man, Tim Bradley, thought, oh, he'll bring in Teddy Atlas. He's going to be a great motivator and probably, you know, help him throughout the way to beat Manny Pacquiao. Man, Teddy Atlas and them had no clue how to beat Manny Pacquiao. Just like and it all comes down to was look, if Tim Bradley was confident he really beat Manny Pacquiao the first time, why would he have to switch his trainer from Joel Diaz, a guy he had been with from the get go? You know what I'm saying? So he was looking for any other reason to help him fight Pacquiao. In the third fight, it was an easy watch for Pacquiao. He dropped Tim Bradley, who's usually a guy who has a chin. You know what I'm saying? He dropped him twice. You know what I mean? Easy win for older Pacquiao. You check it. So trilogies, the third fight usually doesn't happen like the second or the first fight. Obviously, the man Deontay Wilder, he got to go back to the drawing board. And it's funny how all these articles I've been seeing lately are talking about, basically like this COVID-19 layoff is um, is actually good for Deontay Wilder. I've been said that, man. I said, man, Deontay Wilder. I made a video about that. Deontay Wilder's buying precious time with this COVID-19, which is actually a positive in my opinion. It's gonna give him more time to figure out why he went left and make everything go right again. You know what I'm saying? Because everything was going right as far as his career up until that second fight. You know what I mean? You check it. So I've been said it before, just like these articles are now realizing it that the extra time will benefit Deontay Wilder. In my opinion, the extra time doesn't benefit a guy like Tyson Fury so much. Maybe look, I'm not saying that he's obviously going to lose. Look, he said it himself. He needs to stay in the gym. He needs to be motivated and be an active fighter. Otherwise, he might, you know, result back to bad habits, you know what I mean, that had kept him out the ring for 2.5 years. I don't got to explain what those bad habits are. He knows what they are, and you guys know what they are too, you know what I mean? You check it. So he does need to be an active fighter to keep a stable and sane mindset, you know what I'm saying? So maybe this COVID-19, maybe he's seeked Jesus. He's always talking about Jesus and stuff, and he's a Christian. Maybe he's gonna exorcise his demons. Channel his inner Christianity, and maybe he might come out a more positive guy during this long layoff. You know what I mean? Time will tell. But Deontay Wilder cannot bank on a long layoff just benefiting him and not benefiting the man Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? That should not be his motivation to go into this fight. His motivation should be to correct what he did wrong in the second fight. You know what I'm saying? So absolutely, I'm looking forward to this third fight. Like I said, and matter of fact, like Frank Warren said, the negotiations were even done by the time the second fight started. You know what I mean? You check it. So at the end of the day, the rematch must happen. You know, I've heard Anthony Joshua previously talk about all his mandatories he has to fulfill and stuff. Well, go ahead and handle your mandatories. You know what I mean? You were saying talking about fighting your mandatories before undisputed, before you had even lost to the man Andy Ruiz, and that's the truth of the matter. That's a fact. The man said it, not in no articles or nothing. He said it in a post-fight interview. I can't remember whom he beat, but he said it while holding the mic talking to thousands and tens of thousands of people. You know what I mean? Talking about he has mandatories to fulfill before the undisputed fight. You know what I mean? So all that Eddie Hearn was talking about, trying to fight the man next, it wasn't really a possibility, man. As long as Kuba Pulev and the man Bob Arum are in the background lurking, it wasn't a possibility. And as a matter of fact, that fight's not happening no time soon in England unless the guy Tyson Fury can rectify his situation going on over there with the British Boxing Board of Control and getting himself back a British boxing license. Maybe he could care less. I've said it in previous videos. They ain't show him no love like that over there in England. They show him a whole lot of love in the United States. He's made his biggest paydays over here. This is USA, Jack. Anybody would want to be a superstar in America more than in Europe or in England or anywhere else on the planet. You know what I'm saying? This is it's a big country, man. There's Hollywood. The guy trains over there in Las Vegas and in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, unless that rematch, I'm sorry, unless that fight between, unless Anthony Joshua is willing to come over to America, which I personally thought and felt, in my opinion, after he lost to the man Andy Ruiz, there's no way he's showing back up in America anytime soon. You know what I mean? I felt like I picked him to win the rematch and I said he gonna hold them belts hostage over there in England. You know what I'm saying? He ain't coming back to USA for a long time. And time will tell if my theory will stand corrected, you know what I'm saying? But it's going to take a long time for him to get over that mental lapse of what happened in June 1st. You know what I'm saying? So will Deontay Wilder, you know what I mean? But at least Deontay Wilder, he has a chance to go back into this third fight and correct his wrongs. What's up, E. Woodson? What the deal, man? E. Woodson says, "B. Marsh, salute, fast salute to you as well, and thanks for coming through, my G. Big up, big up, big up to Mike 104. What's happening, big man? How you feeling, man?" He says, Wilder needs to improve his game and not count on Fury to decline due to layover. Absolutely. Absolutely. He can't bank on Fury's, um, you know, going back to his old ways, you know what I'm saying? Of all his transgressions that kept him out the ring after the big Klitschko win, you know what I mean? You check it, Fury needs to channel I'm sorry, Wilder needs to channel his you know the best Wilder possible and come out in this third fight. You know what I'm saying, and give us the fans and everybody in the world prove that whatever happened in February 22nd in the rematch. You know what I'm saying? That just wasn't you. I haven't made the excuse like that wasn't Wilder, man. That wasn't Wilder. They tried to say that. I've heard people say that about Wilder. I remember people saying that when Anthony Joshua got knocked out. Oh, that wasn't AJ, man. Something was clearly wrong. And yo, you know how many fighters have fought in the ring with something going on personally in their life, win, lose, or draw. So that's definitely not an excuse to me. That's not the AJ or that's not the Wilder. That's the AJ and Wilder. Like what they had a clone or something. Those are the same 6'7" and 6'6" guys that I've been watching for years. You know, at the end of the day, the better man won in both fights. You know what I'm saying? Now Tyson Fury is definitely a much more imposing, more skillful, more seasoned fighter, in my opinion, than an Andy Ruiz. And I'm not talking about seasoned because Andy Ruiz has been fighting since he was a little kid. But I'm talking about his skill set and even training, training with guys like Emmanuel Stewart and going to Dusseldorf to to spar the Klitschko's before Fury and Wilder. And these guys got a name, you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. He's been around more big time boxing than Andy Ruiz. Andy to me is just a better fighter than Andy Ruiz. So Wilder getting back his belts, it's not a given. As a matter of fact, I would think the betting odds would favor Tyson Fury to retain his titles. You know what I mean? You know, you know what I'm saying? Because how Andy Ruiz beat AJ, that shouldn't have happened. Now, Tyson Fury beating Wilder, that was definitely quite a possibility. And just the result of the second fight was more shocking than anything. Him winning was not a shocker to me, but how he did it. And it actually also surprised Tyson Fury how he got the job done in the second fight. You know what I mean? So time will tell. In the third fight. You know what I'm saying? Whether I'm sorry, Deontay Wilder can rectify his wrongs. Mike 104 says AJ losing to Ruiz is not the equivalent of Wilder losing to Fury in their rematch. AJ clearly lost to an inferior opponent as shown in his rematch. Wilder, on the other hand, had stiffer competition. I agree 100% with that one. Tyson Fury is the first guy to beat Klitschko in over 10 years, snatched 3 titles, ring and lineal titles off of the man. This guy was somebody before his transgressions. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a more difficult task for the man Deontay Wilder to get back in position than it was for Anthony Joshua getting back in position. But that's neither here nor there. That's boxing. That's the cards all fighters are dealt with. You know what I mean? Sooner than later, you're gonna have to beat your match or a guy who's I'm gonna match you as far as you know skill set, maybe punching power, or just overall facets of the game. You know what I mean? That you're gonna meet your match. You know what I mean? For Roy Jones, for all those years, it was Antonio Tarver. He finally had met his match. You know what I'm saying? You know, so we shall see, man. But as according to Frank Warren, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, it's on. MGM, not at MGM National Harbor. Sorry, I've been talking about MGM National Harbor lately. MGM Las Vegas, the MGM Grand. Date to be announced. Nobody has a clue on when the date will be, but actually, they're looking at any time between October 2020 and February of 2021. You know what I'm saying? That's the dates they're looking at. So we shall see either fall or winter coming up. If boxing resumes, if the hotels, like Frank Warren said, get back in position, hiring staff, getting the casinos and hotels up and running, so a lot of questions marks to be answered. Will people want to fly out to watch the fight? Will people buy tickets to go to Vegas? Time will tell. We're going through a vicious recession right about now. You know what I mean? Everybody feeling it as far as people who've been laid off. Some people are fortunate they can still work from home. You know what I mean? You check it. Otherwise, a lot of people been laid off. A lot of people ain't paid their rent for April. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. And you never know what life will bring. You know what I mean? That's why you always gotta stay ready. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean? And that means just always, you know, saving up for a rainy day. You know what I mean? That's stuff that a lot of people, there's a lot of people who live check to check and they have great jobs. You know what I'm saying? Better jobs than I do, but they live check to check. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about. You got to save for a rainy day because anything could happen. You know what I'm saying? Some people live check to check, and that might be paying for their mortgage or rent. Maybe they have a expensive European car. They pay $400-500 a month for the car note, and numerous other bills. Might have kids and all kind of other bills. You know what I mean? They might have the latest iPhone 11 Pro Max that they're financing. They didn't pay for it outright. They probably paying a good $30 or more per month. So all these expenses add up, especially if you ain't making no money currently. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to drive a lot of people insane. So hopefully we can get back in position to even have boxing. But even when boxing returns, there'll be a lot of questions that will have to be answered and asked. Like, are people willing to pay serious money? Because that was some serious money to attend Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, the second fight. You know what I mean? These type of fights held in Vegas, these super fights, the majority of the tickets are being they being held for celebrities. You know what I mean? Especially front row, floor seats. You check it. Celebrities paying big bucks to watch these fights. You know what I mean? And even the people in the nosebleeds, they're gonna be paying a hefty price. You know what I'm saying? So be much boxing. What's up, Mike 104 says the Kentucky Derby got pushed back from May to September. We'll see if other events will work out. True indeed. Yeah, man, people got to do what they got to do, man, as far as, trying to reschedule all the events. You can't reschedule the Olympics, so they talking about doing it in 2021. The world's changed. As like I said, look, World Cups, World Cups and Olympics happen every 4 years. They happen on even years. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Olympics 1980, Olympics 84 in Los Angeles, 88 Seoul, Korea, 92 Barcelona. You know what I'm saying? 96 Atlanta. 2000 Sydney, 2004 Athens, 2008 China, 2012 London. You see, it goes in 2016 Brazil. They go on even years. You know what I mean? Just like the World Cup. But now we're gonna have an Olympics in 2021. First time in my lifetime. First time in anybody's lifetime. Even if you're on the planet and you're probably 112 years old, this is the first time this type of stuff happened. But hey, we're gonna have to get through it still. Mike 104 says, according to Sports Illustrated, Wilder Fury 2 sold 850 pay-per-views. They estimate 10 to 20 million people streamed it. Even though these numbers warrant a pay-per-view third fight, the economy will affect sales. Absolutely. People gonna be streaming it. Me, I personally watched it on pay-per-view, put up some money, and ordered the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? That's just what we did. You check it. I ain't streamed that fight. I wasn't gonna stream that one. That one had to get purchased. So big ups to everybody in the chat. Mike 104, E. Woodson. It's on. We waiting for this rematch to happen. Date to be announced, but the venue, MGM Grand, Las Vegas. Be Marsh Boxing, your thoughts and comments, and I'm out of here. Thanks for everybody participating and hitting the thumbs up, and I'm gone.